Hello, childrens. We are going to now talk about 7.3, which is the exciting topic of graphing square root and cube root functions. Because I know you were thinking we haven't done enough graphing lately, and you're probably sad, and you didn't want to just graph some regular old lines like you used to do. You want to graph some square roots and some cube roots, because that sounds like a challenge. So first we're going to make sure we remember how to plug in some numbers here. So if I'm going to do f of 2, f of 2 means I'm going to take my square root and go 3 times 2 minus 2. So simplifying that mess, we're going to get 3 times 2 makes 6 minus 2. Gives me a square root of 4, and that means 2. Now remember, before when we were doing square roots, there's always that plus minus thing, but that was in solving all kinds of stuff and not just plugging stuff into functions, so we don't need to worry about that right now. So here we're going to plug in a negative 1, so negative 2 times negative 1 plus 4. Our negative 2 times negative 1 is going to come out to be a positive 2 plus 4, which makes square root of 6. And if you know how to simplify the square root of 6, go ahead. I don't, so I'm going to leave it alone. And lastly, cube root. What does cube root even mean? Cube root means what are we going to multiply by itself 3 times, not just 2 times, but 3 times in order to work it out. 4 times 4 is going to make 16. So we've got 16 minus 8, which 16 minus 8 is just 8. So I'm looking at what times itself is going to make 8. Well, maybe some of you know that's 2, because 2 times 2 makes 4, times 2 again makes 8. So the cube root of 8 is just 2. And alright, here we go. We're going to graph one. Graphing the square root of x. So a good way to start thinking about these things always is just plug in some numbers we know and think about what the square root of, let's say, square root of 0. Square root of 0 is just 0. What's the square root of 1? 1. Square root of 4? 2. Square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 16 is 4. So as you can see, our y's are not going to go up very fast compared to our x's. X's are flying here, but y's are going up pretty slow. So now I'm going to go to graph that. We're going to graph our 0, 0. Starts out right here. 1, comma 1 right here. 4, comma 2. Now we're already out here 9, 3. And then 16, 4 is too far. I'm not even going to deal with it. So we've got this kind of curve looking like here. I'm going to switch colors because it'll be pretty that way. And we got our first square root graph. Isn't that awesome? So that's going to be our base function, the one that we're going to do everything with. What we're going to look at is how does that make it go up, how does it go down. We're going to move it backwards and forwards and all those sorts of things, maybe back and up, and put our graphs over here. But this same exact curve is the one that we're going to use every time. Every time. Alright, so what would happen if we put a negative 1 in there? Well, that would be square root of negative 1. What happens when we have a negative on the inside? I happens. Negative 4, that'd be what? Whoops, not negative, it'd just be 2i. Are we going to be able to graph things with I? No, we can't graph I because it's imaginary. We'd have to make up a whole new graphing system, and we're not going to do that. So that means our x values inside the square root are going to have to come out to be positive. And what that really means is whatever happens in here inside that square root has to come out to be positive, otherwise you get I and it doesn't work. It doesn't necessarily mean that this out here or this out here can't make it negative, which it can, but your inside your square root has to come out positive. Alright, look at how similar this looks. This is the exact same thing that we've been doing for days, because it's the same as our absolute value graph was oh so long ago in the first quarter of the year. It's also the exact same thing that we were doing when we had our squared graphs. The H, the K, the A, they're all doing the exact same things. They're in the exact same places, only now it's got a square root here. So my A in front, if it's positive, my graph's going to go like so. If it's negative, it's going to flip down, and we didn't do one of those yet, but we will. Here, that inside one, left to right, remember that one's the opposite. So if it's going to the left, that means it's positive in here. If it's going to the right, it's got a negative. And then my K on the outside is going to move stuff up and down, positive and negative here. So what are these moving up and down, and left Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Please, please write this down and refer to it constantly because it's all we're really doing. Alright, so instead of starting at 0, 0 and curving up, plus 1 on the outside means that we're going to go upwards 1. So I'm going to put my first point here, and I'm going to think about it kind of going through those same points like that, but you don't really need to draw those. Just means my curve's going to look like this. These are some ugly graphs, honestly. Alright, 3 on the outside means we're going down 1, 2, 3. And again, same kind of curve. Just like that. Easy, easy stuff. Negative 4 on the inside. Which way is that going to go? Left and right, but it's going to go right because it's opposite. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my point here. And look at that go. We're graphing roots. It's crazy. Alright, my negative 3 on the inside means left. My positive 3 on the inside means left. My positive 2 on the outside means we're going to go up. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 backwards and 1, 2 up. And oh my goodness, that got crazy. But what's going to happen? Look at that go. Graphing square roots. Uh-oh, the negative on the outside. That means it's going to go downward. There's no other number, so it still starts here, but it's going to go just like that. Down instead of up. Alright, because square roots weren't enough, you're like, man, I want to do some cube roots. I think we can handle this. Well, let's see. Cube root of 8 is 2, cube root of 1 is 1, cube root of 0, because 0 times 0 times 0 is still 0. How do we get cube roots of a negative number? Well, those are just going to be the negative versions of those. If I do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, well, 2 of those are going to cancel and become positive, but 1's going to be left over. And 2 times 2 times 2 still leaves me with 8. So, we can get our negative numbers now here because our numbers being negative can still get us that negative number when we cube it. That's the weird thing about odd powers. So, let's graph all these spots here. We got negative 8 comma negative 2 right here. Negative 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. And then all the way out to 8, comma 2. So this looks kind of weird. Got a lot of things going on, but what we're going to deal with here, this first part, oh, that's ugly. It's going to look just like our other graph did, except for apparently much uglier. And then it just kind of curves through and does the same thing going the other direction. Oh man, I'm disgusting. You get the idea there. If you want to see what they really look like, look in the, I don't know, there's graphing calculators out there on the internet. Just type in free graphing calculator. There's plenty of options. You can check out your stuff and see if it looks right. I promise you on paper I can do a better job. But our movements and everything is going to be exactly the same as what we were doing before. So this one's going to move us up 4. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to have my positive and negative things going like that and swooping through that way. And it really shouldn't do as bad as that is, but that's all we're doing here. Negative 1 on the outside means down. So there we go. Swoop that way, and I swoop that way, and there we go. We're graphing cube roots. Alright, negative 2 on the inside means go to the right. Bam. Let's graph this guy going out here that way. Oh, that looks good. Maybe I'm getting better with practice here. And, oh no, we got all kinds of stuff. Negative 3 means right. Positive 2 means up. So over 3, up 2. Over 3, up 2. Based on that. And swoop them out. Fun. Alright. Wait, which is the inverse function? Didn't we do this in the last unit? I think it was. That's not even on your chapter packet. That's something left over, so don't even worry about that. I guess we're done. Look at that. Done. Yay. That's all we got for you. So, alright, we'll see you back in class. Make sure you're ready for some quizzes, do some graphing, make good choices out there, and we'll see you later.